drove up the gravel path to a giant Victorian house, my mom in the front seat. The house felt out of place in Springfield, the derelict wannabe capital of Western Massachusetts. The city had been known for drugs and gang violence for decades now, after its mid-19th century glory days of manufacturing plants steaming and churning along the banks of the Connecticut River. "I didn't know Stefan lived in such a nice house," my mom said to no one in particular. "Neither did I agreed, releasing my thick brown hair from its ponytail. The driveway led our station wagon to the back of the house. Stefan stood on the steps with his sparkling girlfriend and their 2-year-old son, the happy family. I felt a tightening in my throat, nerves or envy, both. "Hi," Stefan waved and then slicked his thick, dark mane behind his ears. His girlfriend stood smiling, big white teeth glistening in the summer sun, a mane of dark curls to match her partner's. "Welcome to my production house. We are so happy to be doing this with you." Only a few months before, at the end of my sophomore year, I'd finished a run of the musical Sideshow at Pioneer Valley Theater Company, playing Harem Girl No. 2. Stefan was the musical director. It had been another professional gig I'd gotten, a few over the years I'd amassed in the regional art scene. It made me feel superior to the other kids, the ones I did musicals with year in and year out at the community theater. With those productions, the good parts only went to the kids whose parents made the costumes or donated the most money. At least, that's what my mom always told me. But in professional theater, Harem Girl No. 2 would hopefully be the stepping stone to the lead. Breathing in his Acqua di Gio cologne, I kissed Stefan on both cheeks as if we were meeting at a Parisian cafe. Stefan wasn't French, but his name sounded French, and this was the way he always greeted people. We sat in Stefan's office. I could see the pool out back. We signed the paperwork, and my mother handed over a check for $300 for the photographs. Everything else he was doing for free, Stefan explained, and he would only ever take 20% off of any record deals. We were getting a steal, didn't we know? I grinned. My mother was happy only because I was happy. It had been such a rough few years. She probably thought that if she could help bring some happiness into her daughter's life, then 300 plus 20% was a small price to pay. We were to begin training straight away. I had brought a bag of workout clothes, a bikini, some makeup essentials, heels, and flats as per Stefan's instructions. I was ready for my full makeover. I hugged my mother goodbye. "I'll pick you up at 5, my mom said, as Stefan ushered her out the back door and down the steps to the car. Stefan spun around, big white teeth glowing in my direction. Where was his girlfriend and son? I thought. I hadn't heard or seen them since entering Stefan's office. "Let's get to work," he said as he handed me a sheet of paper. Valentina's training schedule. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 12 to 12:45 vocal warm-ups. 15-minute break, no sugar. 1 to 2 workout. 15-minute break, no carbs. 2:15 to 4:15 recording studio. 4:15 to 5 music theory. I was a barista at a small coffee shop on the other days, but on my days with Stefan, I was becoming Britney Spears 2.0. After 2 weeks of training, Stefan asked if I'd like to change things up a bit, add some different workout routines, and get started on the photographs, now that I'd slimmed down a bit. I'd have to tell my mom that I was going to stay later on the day that he would do the photo shoot. I was thrilled, ready for my close-up. The next training day, Stefan told me to put on my bikini and denim cutoffs and took me out to the pool. Singers, performers, emphasized Stefan, have to learn how to move their body in all different ways while still maintaining perfect pitch, perfect strength, and perfect tone. He handed me the pool cleaner and told me to sing every song I could remember from Baby One More Time, Britney's first album that had come out the previous summer. It was 90 degrees outside, and the touch of metal was cool to my hands. I squinted and asked if I could get my sunglasses. "You think Destiny's Child gets sunglasses when the glare from the stadium lights bother them?" Stefan chuckled. "Fine. Go on then, but only this once." I sang all 13 songs while I scraped the pool bottom and scooped up debris from the surface. I sucked in my tummy and I arched my back. I could see Stefan peeking out behind his office window every so often. I'd always been the heaviest one of my siblings. It was a constant source of envy for me. Their muscles showed where only soft flesh covered my bones. I was about 115 pounds, which is small for sure, but they were all skinnier. My older sister, Heather, had become a Nick City dancer who smoked cigarettes and ate 6 grapefruits a day. Sometimes that was the only thing she ate, so I insisted my mother buy me dozens of grapefruits while I trained with Stefan. I counted calories too. I was still taking 3 ballet classes a week, and that helped my flexibility and strength, but I always thought I was fat. Always. Even if Stefan's regime was slimming me down, I couldn't see it. The evening came when I had asked my mom to pick me up late. I was still on my learner's permit and wouldn't be able to drive myself places until my birthday in November. I showered in Stefan's guest bathroom after my workout and put on the first of a dozen dresses I'd brought for the photo shoot. Short, tight, and off the shoulders. I applied sparkly, plumping lip gloss. In the workroom, where I usually did my vocal warm-ups, Stefan had transformed one of the walls into a backdrop with a massive roll of white paper, a cyc as they call it in the biz. He set up 2 big lights and pointed them toward the middle and told me to stand in the spotlight. I obeyed. I posed and shifted, arched and splayed, looked down, looked sideways, keeping my eyes locked with the camera's iris. Stefan gave bits of encouragement and direction, but it was as if I knew what he wanted, what the camera wanted, what my eventual fans would want, and I wanted to give it to them. Teenagers playing sexy women. It felt natural and easy. "Here, put this on," Stefan said as he handed me a sheer fringed shawl. I wrapped it around my shoulders. "No," Stefan said. "I meant take off the dress and put that on instead." I hesitated for only a millisecond. A warm and fluttery feeling took over in my gut, but I pushed it away. Stefan is a total professional, and these photos will be really beautiful and provocative, I thought. I wanted to be both. "Don't worry," said Stefan, as if he'd heard my thoughts. "We'll cover you up. I just want the suggestion of nude photos." I slipped the shoulders off my dress and slid it down my body, holding the shawl awkwardly around me so that I wasn't standing there naked in front of Stefan. He watched. Then he fiddled with his camera, adjusted the lights, and told me to get down on my knees. "Wrap the shawl around your shoulders, like this," he said, crossing his arms around his friend. He moved closer, his hands adjusted my hands so that just the top part of my very small cleavage showed. "There," the camera flashed. Next, he told me to turn around, still on my knees, and hold the shawl out with my arms spread like wings. He came over again to adjust the shawl, and his hand brushed my bare buttock. That tingly feeling came back. I turned my head and kept my body where it was, eyes smoldering at the camera. Stefan grinned. "You're so beautiful, you know." The tingling spread further around my stomach, inching its way down my pelvis. "Do you know how beautiful you are?" he asked. I had no words to respond, but I knew this was flirting. I'd flirted lots already. I wasn't innocent. I'd had boyfriends and I'd made out with them. They'd touched me and made me feel good, and I did anything to make them feel good in return. Though the hockey player forced me to have sex the previous spring, I pretended I was still a virgin. It wouldn't be until the following spring and summer when I'd start to sleep around, drunk and lost in a sea of college boys. But now, Stefan, even though he was 37 years old, with a girlfriend and a son, was making me feel good, and I liked it. "Okay," he said, "that's enough for tonight. I think we have some really great shots. I'll look through them tomorrow and have some selects for you when we're back here on Monday." I hardly realized that he was saying it was over, still lost in a fog. He threw my dress back at me, and I slipped it over my head. Just then, I heard my mother's car tires crunch up the driveway. Gathering my things, I kissed Stefan goodnight on the cheeks and left. August went by quickly, and I kept up my training. I cleaned the pool once a week while practicing my singing. I recorded a full song with Stefan, and he was fixing up the track. He even had me do a small showcase at an open mic night at a bar, and I invited my siblings that lived nearby, my mom, and a couple of close girlfriends. He was going to submit my single to Disney, RCA, Warner Music, and a few others when I started my junior year in September, and we'd wait to hear back before deciding next steps. And each time I showed up to his house to train over that last month together, I was excited not just because I was pursuing my dream, but because Stefan thought I was beautiful. His hand on my lower back, a look he flashed my way. I knew he liked me more than just as his client. And I wanted him to keep liking me that way because if I did, he'd surely help my career more. To celebrate our last session together for the time being, Stefan took me and his girlfriend to East Haven Hot Tubs. He'd rented a tub for us for an hour and got a babysitter for his little boy. My mother wasn't told, and I thought that it would be okay because the girlfriend was coming along. I liked Stefan's flirting and fantasized about us kissing someday, but I wasn't thinking about him beyond that. I had boys my own age I was interested in. I hadn't thought Stefan was sexy in the beginning, but he had grown on me in that Pierce Brosnan, James Bond sexy, like your best friend's dad. Plus, there was that promise of making it big that he made sure to keep hanging over my head. We slipped into the hot tub, Stefan in between me and his girlfriend. We chatted and laughed. He praised my hard work, and we all talked about the recording deal I was sure to get. And then I felt Stefan's hand on my knee. I glanced at him briefly, but was terrified that his girlfriend would notice something was up, so I looked back at her and kept talking. His hand slid higher up my thigh. How can she not see this, I thought. Surely the angle of his arm, even if it was mostly submerged under bubbles, would be obvious. But that tingly feeling returned. My cheeks grew hot, and I felt a dull pulsing between my legs as his hand slid further up. His fingers creeped inside my bikini, and my throat closed. I couldn't keep talking to his girlfriend because my brain wasn't functioning correctly anymore. I was scared she would notice what was going on, but I was also enraptured with the wave of sensation rolling through my body. I have to go pee, I shot up, standing straight. The announcement startled everyone, including me. I clumsily stepped out of the hot tub, grabbed my towel, and whisked out the door of our private rooftop area. I couldn't understand it. That had felt good, not like with the hockey player. It felt good, but I also didn't want it to happen. How can something bad feel good then? I couldn't make sense of it, and the warm, tingly feeling in my stomach and legs quickly turned into a sick feeling in my throat. Did I want this from Stefan? Do I? Does he love me? Is he going to leave his family and want to be with me now? Was this another man who I could have take care of me? The thoughts grew bigger and more out of control, but I couldn't stop them. I sat on the toilet, towel wrapped around my body, and stayed there until my breathing returned to normal. When I went back to the hot tub, I slipped back in and sat in the same spot. I didn't want to make it seem like anything was amiss, but I told them that I wasn't feeling well. They chalked it up to the heat of the hot tub and decided to leave 20 minutes before our time was up. I sat in the back of their car and drove back to Springfield with them. My mom came to pick me up, and I gave everyone hugs, Stefan 2 kisses on his cheeks, and left the Victorian house for the last time. A few months later, we received an invitation to Stefan and his girlfriend's wedding. I went, not wanting my mom to think anything was weird, but after that, I'd never go back there again, and the single would never go anywhere. Stefan would say that all the labels got back to him with positive reviews, but said that they wanted an EP and not just a single. I'd never see the pictures of myself in the gypsy silk shawl, and I'd never ask Stefan what happened to them. I'd never tell my mother what happened that summer, and she would never ask. Britney Spears 2.0 was gone.